Hi everyone, today I'd like to talk about iron Gall inks and how they're like compared to each other. I have four kinds to show you. This is the McCaffrey's Penman's ink. This is the Old World ink. The Walker's Copperplate ink and Blots iron Gall ink. I'm going to start with the McCaffrey's Penman's ink. It's made in the US by Neil McCaffrey and it's very nice. You can buy it from Paper Ink Arts or John Neal booksellers. And in addition to black, he has other colors as well. Red violet, my favorite. Indigo blue. And white. But that's not all, he has many other colors. I just only have these few and I'll demonstrate them for you now. The first one I'll show you is McCaffrey's Penman's ink in gloss black. He has another one called black, so there's two kinds of black ink. There's gloss black, and there is ivory and bright white ink, so two kinds of white and two kinds of black. This one is the gloss. I've had this bottle for quite a long time, so I think maybe it has become thicker than usual, so I'm going to add a little bit of water and use it. But you can see that this ink is not really like a fountain pen ink where it's really clean and pretty. Iron Gall ink tends to have a bit of sludge in it because the way they make it. But the ink produced is very dark and very permanent. I'm going to be using Conqueror paper and Leonard Principle. As you can see, the ink is actually a little gray, but that's normal because it goes on, it writes gray, and as time passes, as it reacts with the air, it will become really black. So what I really like about iron Gall ink is because it can achieve very fine lines. Some inks, you just can't do that. But not only can they achieve really fine lines, iron Gall ink can do really sharp turns. Like that. Usually an ink will just like do that, like that. If you use like a fountain pen ink or a really bad ink, it will just do that. But with iron Gall ink or some other inks like walnut ink, you can achieve very sharp and precise turns. And this is true of all the iron Gall inks I'm going to try today. Now I'll show you the color inks. This is the Indigo blue. It's really like writing with watercolor. It's very watery and behaves very nicely. And now I'll try the red violet ink. This one's my favorite. The ink really pulls if you use a lot, but as it dries, it will get darker. And I really like these two inks because they behave very well with ornamental penmanship or Spencerian, and they are able to achieve very fine lines and very thick shades without compromising the shape, like, you know, like that. It doesn't do stuff like that. It's just, it does whatever the name tells it to do. Because some inks, you know, especially lower quality inks, it tends to like go all over the place because it's not like a very good ink. But with these inks, these Iron Gall inks, they do exactly what they want you to do. And when it comes to penmanship and calligraphy, a lot of it is very precise. So that's McCaffrey's ink. Now I'm going to show you Old World ink. The McCaffrey's ink is about $9 for 1 ounce. I think the colored ones are $9 and then the regular ones are $7, but it's about $7 to $9 for 1 ounce. You can get a larger bottle for cheaper. The Old World ink is $12 for 2 ounces. And because even though they're both, you know, Iron Gall inks, the characteristics are slightly different. The mouth of the bottle is much bigger as well, so you can, like, you know, put in your oblique holder anywhere you want. I had a bit of problems with the McCaffrey bottle because the mouth is, you know, still pretty big, but sometimes it knocks towards the side and then it does that. So that's just a minor inconvenience. So immediately you can see that the old world ink is very black. Right out of the bottle it writes super black. It's different with the case of the compared to the McCaffrey. You can still see that the McCaffrey doesn't have very true fine lines like this. With the McCaffrey, some upstrokes are a little less visible, but I like the old world ink because every little line is very sharp. One thing about the old world ink is that it's very acidic, so maybe this is because of the acidity, but the acidity of this ink causes the nib to deteriorate faster. Even if I write really small, I'm gonna try and do that. The lines are still true. So this is actually my favorite ink for writing, my favorite Iron Gall ink for writing. But I try to avoid using, you know, very precious nibs with it. And in fact, I try to avoid my precious vintage nibs with any kind of Iron Gall ink, which is a shame because, you know, it would write better with it, but I'm just afraid that it would harm the nibs too much. However, it's not that big of a deal because it doesn't like eat at the nibs too much. It's just that over time it does deteriorate a little faster, that's it. Some Iron Gall ink are more acidic than others. I find that the old world is quite acidic indeed. The McCaffrey's is not as acidic, and you can tell when you keep writing with them and you realize that this nib is starting to get really old. And I have used these two inks for a really long time, so I know that. I'm going to try doing a ornamental or stencilian with the McCaffrey's. So I'm going to just to show you. So I'm going to use red violet for that. So because it's so light at first, I don't use this for Spencerian or ornamental very much because I can't really see what's on it. I can kind of see it, but it's not as obvious as Old World ink. Now I'm going to show you Walker's Copperplate ink. This one is made by Brian Walker, and I've only used it for a short while. Together with the Blots ink, it's available at scribblers.co.uk. It's an European website, so you would have to order from them. It's about, they're both the same price. I think about £6. That's about $10 US for 1 ounce of ink. That's 30 milliliters. So it's about the same price with the McCaffrey's ink. So you see it looks a little purple. I really like this ink. It reminds me of the Old World ink, but less black and less gritty. I like it so much that I've bought like 3 more. It's also very responsive, and I feel like it's a lot cleaner. This is a new bottle, but I feel like the ink is smoother and creamier than the other ones. If you don't know, Brian Walker is a master penman of Iron Path, and he is, I think, one of the best in the world for ornamental penmanship and Spencerian. So, and he has quite a rigid requirements for the ink that he makes, so that's why it writes so well. I've also been told that this ink is kind of like sometimes you can get it, sometimes you cannot get it because of the quality control, I guess. So that's another reason why I bought 3 at the same time. About the acidity, I'm not really sure yet because I've only just gotten this ink like a couple of weeks ago. But I really like it so far. This is the last one, the Blots ink. I've actually never used it before, so I'm quite excited to see how it's going to be. So it's writing, it comes off as gray. I'm not sure if you can tell, but when it first hits the paper, it's gray. So slowly it will become black. Now you can see that this part is gray and this part is already drying and becoming black. I really like it. It reminds me of Old World ink because it's kind of gritty, and I think it may be quite acidic. I'm not sure though. It's the same price as the Walker's ink, so if I had to choose between the two, I would go for the Walker's ink, but this is also a very good ink. Maybe I'll just buy both. For the final part of my review, I'm going to use all the inks on one piece of paper. So the first one I'm going to try is the McCaffrey's Gloss Black. The second one I'm going to use is the Old World ink. the third one I'm going to use is the Walker's Copperplate Ink. And the last one is Blots Iron Gall Ink. And there it is. These are the 4 popular iron gall inks that you can buy. I think my final thoughts is that the Blots is very similar to the Old World ink, and Walker's is similar to McCaffrey's. I like them all, but maybe it's a good idea to try different ones and see which suits your style of writing, because at the end of the day all of them dry the same, so all of them become black. It's just that when you are using them it feels different. Personally, I use the Old World and Walker's a lot, but I think now maybe I would use the Blots more often as well. For McCaffrey's, I prefer the colored inks over his black ones, and I really like his bright white ink. He has 2 different ones, the white and the bright white, and I really like the bright white. I hope this tutorial has been useful to you, and if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer you. Thanks for watching.